What's up everyone, welcome to the next lesson. Today we'll talk about generative fill, another quite interesting method or a tool that came along with the AI wave of possibilities. This one's powerful and honestly possibly even more exciting than creative upscaling. These are the before and after using generative fill tools. Quite an array of examples you can see already, and we are here to inspire you to seek opportunities to use it and most importantly, how it ties in with creative upscalers. Pretty cool lesson if you ask me, so let's jump right into it. Generative fill is an AI tool that allows you to add or remove elements in an image using text prompts. For this lesson, we'll mostly use Photoshop's Firefly. It's very simple to use, gives quick iterations over images, and the quality is fairly decent for our purpose. There are different tools which offer similar functionality, like Stable Art, Midjourney, but regardless of the tool, we want to share different methodologies which you should be familiar with. So let's start easy. At the beginning, we'll go through a handful of trivial examples that are practically a one-click solution. The first example will be adding a cloud to the sky. It's just a plain gradient at the moment, so first, select an area with the lasso tool, type in Cumulus Cloud, and let Firefly do its thing. While you won't have full control over the exact shape of the cloud, we can at least expect it to fit the lighting and colors, and it should match the scene. And bam! We get something pretty decent. Another example, we can actually improve how those 3D assets intersect over here. We can break the CG look with Firefly. Again, we can select an area and click Generate, even without any prompt. We can rely on its normalization capabilities, on its ability to blend individual fragments together. We can expect it to understand this is sand and introduce more interesting blending rather than just a precise line between two geometries. And there you have it, nice and easy. Sometimes you'll get lucky on the first try, over time you need to run it twice, but eventually it gives us something more organic and fluid. Super quick fix, especially when something is bugging you and you don't have time or patience to go back into 3D. In fact, one of the best uses of generative fill is adding elements that don't need to be super specific. If you need to break the CG look, introduce a bit of variety, this tool is absolutely perfect for the job. Here's another case. Generative fill isn't just about adding things, it's also great for changing and reshaping your image. Take this example. We can modify the sky cloud by cloud in any way we like. The method is literally the same. Select the area, enter a prompt, and tweak each cloud as needed. In just minutes, you can create a variety of skies, each with its own unique vibe. And when you think about it, this lets you completely influence your composition. We change the clouds, but at the same time we are adjusting the lines and shapes which harmonize with the rest of the image. Perfect cloud compositions used to be a major headache, but generative fill changes the game. So we'd like to inspire you to seek for those opportunities to improve compositions in post using generative fill. You can change skies, you can adjust leaves or plants or rocks, countless ways when you let your creativity take the lead. Moving on. Here's another visualization. VDBs, scatterings, volumetric fog, even clouds from 3D. Lots of good stuff, but I think we can make it even better. How about adding a mountain goat here? Now, imagine adding mountain goat in 3D. Not likely, unless by a miracle, we have perfect assets for it. This sort of stuff would be near impossible to do in 3D, so let's turn into generative fill again. I will use a lasso tool to mark the area where I want to place the goats. Simple as that. And now we can do another one here, closer to the camera. I absolutely love how this small addition completely reshapes how we perceive the image. Real-life photographers would wait hours hiding in the bushes to capture a moment like this. But we, 3D artists, can curate those near-impossible moments in our bedroom. Sometimes it takes a little animal, sometimes a special piece of decor, and before you know it, you are adding a powerful storytelling to your images and setting yourself apart from competition. You are not using the same assets all the other artists use. Remember guys, this is an important takeaway. Focus on storytelling. You can get it for free and it can make a massive impact on your work. Okay, moving on. Let's dive into commercial usage, the most popular from our point of view. With generative AI tools, you can change this into this. And it's pretty nuts, honestly. Here we are changing characters, altering their race, gender, clothing, you name it. We have complete freedom. And of course, this isn't just a fun exercise, this is a powerful commercial tool. Those details often make or break an image. This is what clients care about. And in the past, this was either impossible, accidental, or required lots of work. But now we have complete freedom to change it at any level. Let's try selecting all 3 characters with a lasso and swapping them all at once. And I can already tell you it will likely not work. But let's see. Let's type 3 diverse people. Let's add happy, so maybe we get the smiles as well, and finally add talking to each other. Click generate and see what happens. Okay, so we can already see here that the first attempt didn't quite give us what we wanted. We can try running it again, however, I don't expect much. Sometimes they will appear too small, other times too large, and it throws off the whole composition. When you use prompts and selection areas like this, AI struggles to capture the proper scale. It just doesn't quite work. Instead, we should focus on smaller areas. This should give us much better results. And just before we show the actual proper way, let me show you one more test. Let's focus on this man in the middle and transform him into an Asian woman. First, let's mark the area that completely covers his figure and type in Asian woman. Let's also add happy, because if we don't, she'll probably be grumpy and we don't want it. So let's see what we get. Well, overall we've lost the character. It's not exactly what we wanted, but it's kind of expected to. The selection area is still too big. We covered the whole character and in such cases it often just replaces it with a background or does something completely wild. But what if we do a little adjustment? Let's remove the edge of the legs and see how it works. This approach hopefully should at least place the character, because Firefly has a body part to start with. Sweet. We can see that this small adjustment already gives us the foundation to create a character. When you are in a rush, this might work or it might not, but at least you increase your chances of success. Try leaving some parts of the character unselected. It might be both feet and the tip of the head, so Firefly knows where to start and end the character. It's a quick and dirty way in case you need it. But actually, if you want to reshape the character in a proper way, you should have a bit smaller selection areas. The narrower the selection range, the better for us. And we could actually go with this character piece by piece. For example, selecting just the head and asking for an Asian woman. This should give us the best results overall. In terms of scale, everything works. As for the expression of the character, Firefly will generally create people who are looking at the camera, which might not fit our render. So we can add looking down to the prompt. And now she seems somewhat more present in this conversation. Let me try again and maybe I'll get something even better. Perfect. Maybe we can also change the entire torso, continuing from the area that has already been generated. This will immediately change the arms and clothing. I will type corporate casual clothing and it should fit better with the entourage we have already here. That's pretty cool. A couple of generations and maybe we'll use this jacket. If there are some obvious mistakes, we can narrow down the selection and continue improving it. We can deal with those deformed fingers. Maybe let's stick with something like this. And that's that. I think it's time to run it through Magnific or any creative upscaler of your choice. Fast forward, you already know the drill. We imported the image from Magnific, and it looks seamless right away. We can easily mask out parts that are important to us. And for the cherry on top of the cake, we can always fix those eyes. We can redo them with Firefly again. If something doesn't come out as we expected, just tweak it until it fits your story perfectly. Fantastic. So yeah, it's obviously easier to generate an eye than an entire face. It's easier to generate a t-shirt than an entire character, and sometimes you will nail it in the first time, sometimes you will need a few iterations, it's a process, it requires some time, but you will always get there. And we'll show you some absolutely crazy examples using this method later in this training. And before we wrap it up, last important thing. Keep in mind, Firefly generations don't need to be perfect. Whatever you generate just needs to be good enough. There's always creative upscalers at the end of the road to save the day. The most you should aim for, no matter how awful it sounds, is a deformed face, weird hands, and so on. It's horrific, I know, but trust me, it's enough. Because upscalers are like a world-class plastic surgeon. They make people look beautiful and attractive. Even if the face is crooked, the eye is misaligned, the nose is broken, and so on, it will all be straight later. Keep practicing how generative fill and creative upscalers work together. You will quickly develop a sense of what's okay. And it's always worth keeping an eye on new tools that pop up. Sooner or later, there will be a tool that solves the same problem even better or in a more complex fashion. Okay, nice. We discussed the basics of generative fill, and in the next lesson, part 2, we'll go a bit deeper, so see you there.